Salvete omnes. Today we're going to talk about adjectives. Adjectives are words that describe nouns. For instance, the big dog. What type of dog is he? What type of baby are we talking about? The sleepy baby. What type of smell is that? That's a gross smell. Let's take a look at these two balls. The one on the left, this ball is big and green. Those are two adjectives describing the ball. The one on the right is small and green. Again, two adjectives describing the ball. What type of ball is that? What if we want to compare them to each other? Then we have to use another word. The adjective changes a little bit. We say, this ball is bigger than the other one when we compare the big one to the small one. Or if we focus on the small one, we can say, this ball is smaller than the other ball. Smaller and bigger are still adjectives. They're still describing the ball, but it's a little bit more special in that it's an adjective describing the ball when we are comparing it to another object, another noun. These things are called comparative adjectives. Hopefully the reason is obvious. But what if we have more than two objects? We just put them on a scale. Here we go. This guy is happy. When we compare these two together, we say this one is happier than this one. But if we add a third, then we have another level, another degree of happy. This guy is the happiest of them all. We can go the opposite way as well. We can say this one is happy. This one is less happy when we compare these two. And when we put all three together, we can say this guy is the least happy of all. These three degrees, these three levels of adjectives, they have special names. I've already shown you the comparative. But what if we go to the normal adjectives, the ones that we normally use, right? We have words like happy, sad, calm, angry, big, small, etc., etc. These are our normal adjectives, the ones we use every day. Our comparatives are when we are taking two objects and comparing them to each other. Happier, sadder, calmer, angrier, bigger, smaller, etc., etc. And you might notice that most of these share something in common. Now, this third one, when we have more than two objects, is called the superlative. Hopefully this is something that you've heard before in English class. The superlative, this is the happiest, the saddest, the calmest, the angriest, the biggest, the smallest, etc., etc. And again, if you look at these, you might notice that they mostly share something in common. There is one kind of standout here with the normal. Ironically enough, the normal one is the one that is not normal. So how do we use this in Latin? Well, Latin still has these three degrees. We still have the positive, the normal, the comparative when we compare two things, and the superlative when we want to see the biggest and the most extreme of each level. Over here is lightus, the Latin word for happy, of course. When we compare this one to this one, we can say that this one is lightior, meaning happier. And if we go over here to the superlative, the most extreme edge of happy is we have lightissimus, meaning very happy, or the happiest. Positive, comparative, superlative, the same as in English. Let's use a different one. Let's see if we can find any commonalities between this. So we've turned them from happy to angry. Over here we have iratus, meaning angry, of course. When we compare this one to this one, we look at them and we say this one is angrier, iratior. And then the most extreme edge of angry, we have this guy over here who is iratissimus, the superlative degree, as we go up the scale of angry, angrier, and angriest. Iratus, iratior, iratissimus. So let's set up this chart the same as we had in the English, with the positive, the comparative, and superlative. The same degrees, and they work the exact same way. And I've given you a couple examples. Lightus, meaning happy, tristis, meaning sad, serenus, meaning calm, iratus, meaning angry, stultus means stupid, and calidus means smart. If we want to compare the two objects or two people together, then we go from lightus to lightior, happy to happier, tristis, tristior, serenus, serenior, iratus, iratior, stultus, stultior, calidus, calidior. Hopefully, you see that there is a pattern here. If we go to the most extreme edge, the superlatives, we want to say someone is very happy, or maybe the happiest. Lightissimus, tristissimus, very sad. Serenissimus, very calm. Iratissimus, the angriest. Stultissimus, the dumbest. And calidissimus, very smart, or the smartest. Right? When we compare things in English, they end with er. When we compare things in Latin, they end in ior, eor. Sounds pretty similar, so that's very nice. Over here in the superlative, in English, we normally add est, est. In Latin, we have the issimus ending. Not exactly the same sound, but at least it's close. So how do these things actually work? It is a little bit more complicated than English. Words change depending on the gender, and they change depending on the number of people doing something, or the number of people there are. And they also change depending on the job that the noun does in the sentence. So let's take a look and see how this works. Quintus est calidus. Well, that's nice. Quintus is clever, or Quintus is smart. But let's compare him to Alexander. Alexander est calidior quam Quintus. Caecilius est calidissimus. So out of these three here, who is smart, who is smarter, and who is smartest? Now this word has a special thing that it can do, that it can change from the second declension into the first declension when the gender of the person, of the noun, changes. This is something that first and second declension words can do. We've seen this before with words like filius is a second declension meaning son that can turn into filia, a first declension meaning daughter. Second and first declension words, they can do this gender swapping thing between them. Papaya est calida. Well, let's compare her to Melissa. Melissa est calidior quam papaya. Again, we have the same pattern. Smart, smarter, smartest. Who is smart? Who is smarter? Who is smartest? What about in the accusative? Those were nominatives, right? The subject was the one who was smart. Let's change things around, and let's now put it on the accusative. Let's describe an object that something is happening to. Quintus gladiatorum notum spectat. Quintus sees the famous gladiator. Right? Gladiator is accusative. The word for famous is accusative. Alexander gladiatorum notiorum spectat. Alexander watches the more famous gladiator. Caecilius gladiatorum notissimum spectat. Caecilius is watching the most famous gladiator. Notice that the adjective is accusative because the noun that it's describing is accusative. Don't worry too much about that right now. Right now, you should really focus on being able to recognize the IOR in the comparative, in the ISSIM, the ISM, in the superlative. Let's try something else. Let's try it in the dative. Datives are receiving objects. So let's now describe a noun that's receiving something with adjectives. Quintus servo fesso pecuniam dedit. Quintus gave money to the tired slave. Alexander servo faciori pecuniam dedit. Alexander gave money to the more tired slave. Caecilius servo festissimo pecuniam dedit. Caecilius gave money to the most tired slave. Again, the adjective is dative because the noun it's describing is dative. However, just like before, focus on being able to recognize the eor and the ism. Once you figure out those, being able to recognize that they are agreeing, that the noun and the adjective are agreeing, that's the second job. Let's give it a shot. Nos Romani sumus fortes. We Romans are strong. What are the letters that should be in the second one, in the comparative? Nos Romani sumus fort blank s quam Graeci. We Romans are stronger than the Greeks, or braver than the Greeks. What letters should be in there? How about on the bottom? Let's try that one. Let's say that we are the most strong, or the strongest, or the bravest in the world. Nos Romani sumus blank in mundo. What letters should go in there to say that we are the strongest or the bravest? I hope you got it. What do I want you to know? What's the takeaway? Adjectives describe nouns. That's what an adjective is. That's its job. There are 3 degrees of adjective. That's what we call them. Grammatically, we call them degrees. They show the same gender, case, and number as the noun that they describe. We'll learn more about that in Latin 2, specifically how to make sure that they do this. But right now, just know that they do that. And that's it. Those are the 3 degrees of adjectives that you need to know for this stage. If you have any questions, make sure to email me, and we'll see if we'll try to put this to bed. All right. Bye.